Okay, and welcome to another review. Today I am going to be looking at the Sin City graphic novels and also the film. I'm just going to have a quick talk about the graphic novels first, and then I'll move on to the film as well. Now, first off, the ones that I own are the ones I believe the nicest versions, the nicest editions of this, simply because when you put them all together, you get this picture of one of the characters from the film, Nancy, one that's played by Jessica Alba. It's quite nice. With 7 books altogether. They only made 3 of the 7 books into the film, and I will cover that later on. But I'll cover the film later on. But the actual graphic novels that they did use in the film, I'm going to assume you've seen the film. They used books number 1, 3 and 4. They actually missed out book number 2 for whatever reason they did. But I'll cover them in order anyway. So the first book was called The Hard Goodbye. Now this one was the one that had the Mickey Rourke character in the film called Marv.
Settle down, Marv. Take another pill.
Hey, there ain't no settling down. This is blood for blood and by the gallons. This is the old days, man, the bad days, the all or nothing days. They're back. There's no choices left. And I'm ready for war.
It's one where there's a hooker and she gets murdered and he goes after them. It's like a revenge story, basically. One thing I was going to say, I can't really emphasise enough how, when they made the film, just the look of it and everything about it was spot on with the artwork and the way they delivered the dialogue in the film was very spot on to the actual graphic novel. It's as if they basically used the graphic novel as storyboards for the film. Because most of the time when you get a film that's been made from what is essentially a comic book, they kind of adapt it and interpret it, but this was a literal translation from comic to the film. So they did a really good job. Now, like I said, this was the first book of the 7, and I'll take it from there. The second book they didn't use at all in the film. This is one that introduces the character called Dwight. In the film, he's played by Clive Owen. This introduces his character. His character comes back in the later books as well. Now, in this book, it introduces his character. Now, I'm not going to review the whole story, but he has like a sort of he has his face changed and altered, so he looks completely different. That's why there's a reference in the film to him coming back with that new face of his. To anyone who hasn't read the graphic novels and sees that in the film, it's going to be like, what, you know? So that's the reason for that anyway. So there is talk. I say there's talk. There's been talk for a lot of years, going back since the first film came out, that they were going to do a sequel or a prequel using this as, you know, one of the main stories for it. It would have been good. I can't picture it at this stage. Part of the reason is there's a character called Shelley, who was played by Brittany Murphy, who died in like 2010, I think.
Wish you'd dropped by earlier, Jackie boy. Then you could have met my boyfriend. Could have seen what a real man looks like.
There you go. After my nuts again. But I forgive you.
And her character is in most of these stories. She's not a major character, but the fact that she's in them all, I can't really, unless they replace the actress. I mean, they can do that. It's not unheard of, but I think it would be a bit confusing if they did that. But like I said, I can't picture them even making another film. I don't know why it did very well, and it was a good film, so it just happens. The next story is The Big Fat Kill, which is book number 3. That's the one with Clive Owen in it. So it's a continuation of book number 2. But if you've seen the film, you'll know what the story is. The scene where in the film where he dunks Benicio del Toro's head into the toilet. can't emphasise enough, like I say, how accurate the artwork is to the the film. How good a job they did. So that's that one anyway. All these books up to this point as well are black and white. There is no colour in any of them, but that all changed in book number 4, That Yellow Bastard. I'm just going to move these over here just out of the way. This was the first one that had colour. I think the only bit of colour that was in it was yellow, literally, for obvious reasons. The title kind of gives it away. This was the Bruce Willis story in the film. You might recognise some of the moments there in comparison. Basically a kind of a mystery story, but it's probably one of my favourites. It is one of the best, I think. Again, so you might recognise this if you've seen the film. The next book, from this point on, none of these stories are used in the film. Oh no, actually no, I'm wrong, there is a short story that is used in one of the films later on. But book number 5 is probably the thinnest of the books. It's a revenge story. Again, it's got Dwight, which is the Clive Owen character, and the hookers that were from book number 3. Well, I think they're in a lot of the books, to be honest. It's a good one. It's a revenge story, and there's a bit of a plot twist at the end, which I'm not going to give away. Book number 6 is another thin one. It's got some colour elements to it, but this one isn't one whole story. It's a collection of like very short stories. I mean, some of these stories are just like a few pages long, so it's kind of a compilation graphic novel. Is this one? It's got like I said, it's got a number of stories in it. Book number 7 is the last one. They introduce another new character in this one. I think there are some other characters like Minute, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. My British accent. Minute, that sounds like manure, I don't know. Anyway. So this is a new story, and not really much else to say about it. And one thing I do like about this graphic novel is, obviously in keeping with the other ones, the artwork is pretty much the same, but there is a moment in the story when the character kind of, I don't know if he's on like LSD or something, he trips out, and the artwork changes dramatically. And it has a number of like other characters from other comics he starts to hallucinate. And there's Rambo and Captain America, and there's Dirty Harry. There's an Ed 209, which if you've seen RoboCop, you'll know what that is. Which is interesting because RoboCop 2 and 3, I think, were actually written by Frank Miller, who did the Sin City graphic novels, so you can kind of see the association there. It's also got Hellboy in for like one tiny little bit there as well in the bottom corner, which I thought was quite funny. So those are graphic novels anyway. Like I say, I would recommend them if you haven't read them, or if you've seen the film and wanted to see what their comparison is. They are very good. The film, I'm just going to quickly cover this. I said I was going to quickly cover the graphic novels and I didn't, but I am going to quickly cover the film because I've pretty much talked about that as well. This is just the DVD. I haven't seen the Blu-ray copy or what the difference is in terms of extras. There's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff. You get 2 cuts of the film. You get the theatrical version and you get an extended version, but it's split into 3, so it's not one long film. It's just the 3 individual stories, and you can just watch each one individually. And it also has additional bits that were taken from the graphic novels that they didn't include in the theatrical version. It comes in a nice metal case as well. I don't think it's particularly rare, but I haven't seen many of these on the shelves. I think it was a HMV exclusive when I bought it back in 2007. It might have been released in a more mainstream sense since then, but I'm sure you can get it online anyway. It's just the collector's edition, recut and extended, and it's very good. So that's the end of my review. I hope it's of use. If you've read the graphic novels but haven't seen the film, or you've seen the film but haven't read the graphic novels, I would recommend both, or all, because it's a very good series. I don't believe there is anything else, any other stories that came. This was the whole thing. I doubt they're going to make a sequel at this point because it's been too long, but you never know. We live in hope. So I'll leave that one for now, and thank you for watching.